Next question, check in with yourself. What is your physical condition at the moment? Do you have any ailments that you need to acknowledge to yourself? Anything that you need to shake out, rub out, become aware of? Make sure that you're entirely comfortable. We're going to be here for a while. I will give you guys regular breaks after 40 minutes or so to just quickly go and grab a cup of tea, have a little walk, stretch out the legs. So just check in with your physical condition. How are you feeling? I'm going to take a chance and see if my camera wants to come to the party. It's been very glitchy earlier, so let me just have a check and see if it's... Nope. Okay, so my camera is not working today. I'm trusting that you'll bear with me. I'll show you my computer screen. Next question for you. What is your mental state of clarity? How present are you at the moment? Do you have any distractions in your mind? Anything that's taking your attention away from this lesson? And decide if it's something that you can let go or if it's something that you need to quickly give attention before we start to get your state of being present over 70%, at the very least. Closer to 80, 90, 100% will be great. But let's get ourselves present in this meeting to get the most out of it. And then the last question, what is your percentage of self-love? If we're going to be learning about Ayurveda and taking care of ourselves, it's very important that we accept ourselves and love ourselves. So, question for you, just write down or answer mentally, what is your percentage of self-love? Okay, so let's get this screen shared and start our presentation. I think the majority of whoever's going to be here is here. Hope that you can all see my screen. Great stuff. So let's start with a little introduction about what Ayurveda is. Ayurveda is a holistic healing system. It's rooted in India and it's become increasingly popular here in the West, thanks to what I believe is the amazing results that people have experienced throughout the years. It really only made its way into the West since maybe the 70s or 80s, but the results have been consistent and it's really gained popularity. Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word that translates into the knowledge of life or the science of life. So that is what we're going to be learning a little bit about today. And Ayurveda recognizes one fundamental truth, and that is that the closer a person is to nature, the closer they are to good health, and the further one wanders away from nature, the more you will suffer. So this is because Ayurveda believes that the individual and nature are intertwined, and therefore Ayurveda recommends that we align our inner nature or our very selves with the outer nature of our environment, which means that we will live in harmony with a circadian rhythm and we'll be nourishing ourselves with locally sourced, freshly grown healthful foods. So because of this, we do not need special technology to avoid diseases, but instead we need to have the knowledge of life, the knowledge of how to live in alignment with nature. And this is what Ayurveda teaches us. It gives us a lifestyle that not only prevents disease, but optimizes health and well-being for the whole organism of our bodies. It reminds us that we are self-healing creatures and that we can maintain a good state of health by making healthy lifestyle choices. So while you're here today, I thank you again for joining me. I'm very excited to be sharing this with you. And what you're going to be learning is we're going to start off by discussing very briefly what the immune system is. We're going to look at the key Ayurvedic traits that promote immunity. We're going to look at some herbal and cleansing techniques that you can start practicing at home immediately. We're going to examine how to reduce anxiety using Ayurveda, as anxiety plays a major role in our immune health. We're going to look at some immune boosting herbs and spices that we can start incorporating into our meals right away. And we're going to look at what we call ama in Ayurveda. Ama is a Sanskrit word or an Ayurvedic term that we use for toxicity, and how certain foods, even though they are healthy, can end up contributing to toxic buildup. So let's get started. Firstly, let's look at what immunity is. The immune system is not really a tangible system. It's a concept that humans have invented to describe the body's self-defense mechanism. So in other words, it's not like the digestive tract, which is a tube, or the lungs and respiratory system that is a system of tubes that we can examine or take out and say, here it is. It's really an overall identification concept of our self-defense mechanism. And we can't really separate the immune system or draw a picture of it. It's really a myriad of processes that separates what is me from what is not me. So every cell in our bodies has some form of immune function, contributes to our overall defense system. And in many ways, our immunity is really the most important system in our entire body, because the moment it should fail, pathogens, bugs, the bad guys could kill our bodies in a very short space of time. So it's really, really important that we have a strong immune system. If we look at our textbooks, they all differ slightly on exactly which glands or organs to be included in our immune function. But basically, the ones that play the major roles are the thymus glands. The thymus gland produces some hormones as well as white blood cells called T cells, T for thymus. The spleen, you can live without both your thymus and your spleen, but you won't be doing very well, so it's really not ideal. The spleen is primarily a reservoir for white blood cells, and you probably know that your white blood cells are the fighters, the ones that fight off diseases and pathogens. All of these organs are made out of lymphoid tissues, which is the same as our other main immune organs. Your bone marrow, which produces B cells, your lymph system. We've all heard of lymph drainage. The lymph system is a one-way sewer, so it takes away debris, any toxic buildup. Is very important to keep our lymph system healthy. We're not really going to go very deep into these organs or the entire complicated immune system due to time constraints, but I thought it's really necessary that at least I mention the basics so that you can get an idea of the importance of nourishing your entire body. It's really not just focusing on one single thing. Every cell in your body plays some role in your immune function. I've got other workshops running if you're interested. Immunity involves some nerve function, endocrine function, organ function. We'll get into all of that in other workshops. This one simply just doesn't allow for the time to really get into the science. So you can have a look at the website if it is something that you'd like to sign up for in future. But what I really want to be talking about closer towards the end of this is that AMA that I've mentioned, the toxic buildup, which we know is very important in playing a role in the health of our bodies. Remember how we've learned so far that the function of the immune system is to distinguish between what is me and what is not me. And then our immune system will fight and eliminate those things which are not me. So heavy metals, pathogens, foreign bodies, all of those things. If we have a lot of AMA or toxic buildup, it becomes really hard for our immune systems to do its job properly. If our bodies are constantly having to work hard at cleaning house and cleaning up the junk that has built up over the years, so that's something we don't have to be ashamed of, we all have it. But if our immune system is overtaxed by dealing with all of this rubbish, then it has less capacity available to fight off the things like viruses, like the coronavirus, like bacteria, the things that harm our bodies. So the very first step we want to take in our health is creating habits that help our bodies to do what they are naturally designed to do, which is detoxify and clean house, so that our immune systems can do what they're supposed to do, which is fight off bugs, not spend all of its reserve fighting off the toxic buildup from our modern lifestyles. We can help our immune system and our lymph system specifically by a few simple exercises like daily massage. You can either do a self-massage before or after your morning bath or shower, or if you're lucky enough to have a partner, maybe they can give you a bit of a rub down. Really good to stimulate the lymph and get that one-way sewer to get rid of the toxicity in our bodies. You can stimulate lymph also by taking alternating hot and cold showers or a bath. So take a nice hot shower and then switch the hot water off to cold for a minute and go back to hot for a minute and cold for a minute. Switching it 2 or 3 times is really enough to get that lymph flowing. So as you've probably come to realize by now, there's just really so much more to immunity than just knowing about certain pills and potions and foods. So I'm going to start by getting into some of the more critical aspects. Very important, our lifestyle plays a major role in our immunity. As I've said before, Ayurveda doesn't only treat disease, it prevents disease using our diet and our lifestyle. As humans, our bodies have evolved over millions of years living outside in nature to become what they are today. And in the grand scheme of things, we've only really been around and only really been able to live outside of the alignment of nature for a millisecond of the time with the help of the technology that we have available to us. Our bodies were designed to live in what we call a circadian rhythm. That means that we were designed to be awake and active and to eat while the sun is shining and to sleep at night. But now with the help of technology, we're all able to stay up all night and we can block out the sun with screens and with heavy drapes, curtains, dense walls, and we end up sleeping much later, going to bed much later. And as a consequence, our immune systems and mental health have started breaking down in our modern society. If anybody has a question, please just type it in the chat while I've got my screen on. I can't see your questions here, but I've got a separate screen next to me. My tech support, Stanley, is sitting here next to me. So if there's any questions, please type them in the chat box and I'll answer them as they come up. Okay, so now that our society as a whole is really on lockdown in so many places, people aren't working during the day. They're not taking their kids to school at a specific time, and as a result, our daily routines have become very unaligned. People are staying awake later, they're sleeping in longer, they're sitting on the couch watching TV with exposure to those blue screens. And today, along with some herbs and spices, I want to share with you a few of the Ayurvedic daily habits that can promote immunity for us. And you'll learn why these are so very important, just as important as the food that we put in our bodies. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys, why do you think immunity is so important in our lives? Type it in the questions, drop it in the chat. What do you think is the main reason that immunity is so crucial for us in our body? I see someone's unmuted. If you've got a question, you're welcome to speak it up. There we go. Immunity is our defense mechanism. That's right, Claudia. Thank you for that. If our defense mechanism isn't working properly, the bugs will take us down in our heartbeats. We'll get very sick and we won't live very long or very healthy lives. Anybody have any other reasons why you think immunity is so important? Yes. Shanila says it prevents us from falling prone to illnesses. Exactly. And what you guys probably might not know, it's not often spoken about, immunity also plays a massive role in our body's ability to absorb nutrients. So it can really set off a horrible cycle. If we are not healthy, if our immunity is not strong, our body's not able to absorb nutrients properly. And if we can't absorb nutrients properly, we'll get even sicker. Okay, everybody ready to carry on? We need to be focusing on sleep. Sleep plays a major role in our immunity. So even though we may not need to wake up to get to work on time right now, if you're in lockdown, it's important to maintain a consistent routine. As I've said before, the individual and nature are intertwined. So we share a relationship with our environment. As the sun rises and light spreads across the sky, our minds become illuminated and our intuition wakes up along with our bodies. Maybe you can answer this. Anyone here sat and watched the sunrise? Or even sat watching the sunset? How does it make you feel? Can you feel your brain waking up when you're looking at the sun and seeing it come up over the horizon? Who loves the sunrise and the sunset? Maybe you can drop in the chat, which is your favorite? Are you a sunrise kind of person or a sunset kind of person? Love to see how many rises and setters we have in here. Now, I'm not suggesting that you stay awake until any specific time. There we go, Claudia says it's always wonderful. I do agree, sunrise, sunset, it's just such a beautiful time of the day. So I'm definitely not suggesting that you need to go to sleep at any specific time. You know your body. And I'm not suggesting that you set your alarm for 5:30 every morning. But what I am suggesting is that sacrificing sleep will put you on the fast track to a depleted immune system. Maggie says she feels alive at sunrise, but she loves the sunset the most. Shanila says it's beautiful, peaceful, tranquility, serene. I absolutely agree with you. It's such a quiet time. For me personally, both sunrise and sunset, such a quiet time. You can really feel nature happening around you and realize that no matter what the day brought, if it's a sunset, during sunrise, you can you feel a new day starting. Sunset, you feel whatever's happened, it's over now. Tomorrow is a new day. So that's why I personally love the sunrises and the sunsets. Just a quick recap, we need to wake up before sunrise, if possible. This really wakes the brain up. And if we can, we want to be asleep by 10 o'clock. There's a whole science behind that, but once again, we'll get into that in a different workshop. I want to send you guys at the end of this first session, which will be in about 20 minutes, I'm going to, just before we log off in the chat, I will drop a Word document. I'll drop 2 documents for you. One is a workshop and one is a little test for you to do. So I've just realized that there's so many people on this call, and from past experience, I've learned that with many people on a call, it sometimes gets a bit overtime. So we're not going to take time out to do the worksheets. When we have our little 5-minute breaks, you can open up your worksheet and answer it for yourselves. Let's get into a few habits that will help us sleep, help promote sleep for us. Very important, very wonderful thing that so many of us have in our gardens and in our homes, that we see on the shelves in pharmacies, health shops, very readily available, is lavender. Lavender is a beautiful little flower that has a very relaxing effect, and that is largely due to the essential oils that it contains. These work when they are inhaled or ingested or applied topically. I don't normally recommend people eat it, but definitely when you sniff it, when you breathe it, when you inhale it, or when you apply it to your skin, it's extremely mild on the skin. I've really never known anyone to have an allergic reaction to lavender. You can place a little drop on your collar or on your shirt front, just a little, dab it on your finger and dab it on your clothes so you can smell it the whole day. Lavender oil has a calming, cooling, and soothing energy, which will calm kapha and pitta doshas and stimulate vata dosha. The doshas, once again, is something that we'll get into in a different workshop, so I'll touch on that a little bit later. Your doshas simply mean the elements and the energies that permeate throughout your body, so don't get too hung up on that right now. We'll do a workshop in July, and I'll invite you again. Back to lavender. According to Ayurvedic teachings, lavender oil is particularly useful for enhancing prana, which is what we call the vital life force, and for nourishing our hair and skin. You might have seen it in some products. It has, I think, 150 active constituents, which all have a powerful antidepressant, calming, analgesic, which means pain numbing, antibacterial, antiseptic, sedative, antispasmodic, antimicrobial, anti-anything that you can think of that's bad. Lavender is just great for it. If you've got a skin rash, inflammation, you can apply it. It doesn't work for everybody. It's a very mild oil, but if you've got a light little itch or some inflammation, it really does work wonders for that. You can see how it's good just to use it for so many ailments, not just for calming you down. Got some pictures up here for you to look at to see the different forms in which we'll get lavender, mostly as an essential oil. We have so many different brands, whatever country you're in. I'm just not sure what's on your shelves, but here in South Africa, these are the ones we most often see. I want you to have a look at the different prices. I don't know why this thing keeps on skipping. Maybe I just need to see if I can hit a pause button somewhere. Let me just hit pause. Okay, have a look there. You'll see that the prices vary greatly. And this has a lot to do with the purity of the oil. If you look at the picture on the right, you want to look for a container or a bottle that says 100% or contains the word pure. If your little bottle doesn't say pure or 100%, then it's very likely mixed with some sort of a carrier oil. The price is very often also an indicator. So I'm not saying go for the most expensive one, but I am saying that if you are going for the cheapest one, really scrutinize that bottle and make sure that the bottle shows you 100%. Lavender has other uses. Quickly run through them. It can stimulate hair regrowth. It's a natural bug repellent. If you drop a drop close to an ant's nest, the ants will go away. I have met some really tough, hard ants that didn't go away from it, but mostly, especially if you mix it with citronella, it's very good for getting rid of bugs. Flies as well, if you put it in a diffuser, It keeps flies away from your house, or if you plant it around your house, you'll just have fewer bugs in your house. It can mask unpleasant odors. It can cure staph infections, and specifically staph infections on the skin. Good for pain relief. This is more if you ingest it. So I don't want to recommend anybody going and taking lavender oil internally without really consulting in person with a professional, but it can treat respiratory problems if you do it in a diffuser, or if you drop some in some boiling water, put a towel over your head and inhale those vapors. Definitely the main use for anti-anxiety, anti-stress. It does have some antifungal infection properties. For me personally, I had a fungal infection a couple of years ago and it didn't help for that specific infection, but it is a good first resort if you want to take a chance with it. And headache relief. So if you tend to get a headache around about 3-4 o'clock every afternoon, have your lavender close by, and from lunchtime you can start just inhaling that a little bit to possibly keep your headache at bay. Very popular, very well-known substance also helping with calming and sleeping is chamomile flower. So we normally find that in the form of a tea, but you can also get it as an essential oil. Whether you ingest a drop of the oil or the tea, it'll give you that same effect. Anne-Sophie says you can make a small little bag out of fabric and with rice inside and put a couple of drops of essential oil on the fabric. That's absolutely right. And if you want to, you can even connect a little string to that, have it around your neck, carry it inside your blouse, or if you want to, you can buy jewelry that is a scent diffuser that looks really pretty, but you can make your own. Or have a little, drop it on a little cushion like Anne-Sophie said with rice, keep it on your desk. I don't really like it on my clothes because I've got a very sensitive nose. So if you don't like it on your clothes, drop it on something else that you can just have close by and take a bit of a smell. Back to the chamomile. It's not just lavender that gives us that relaxing oil. Chamomile flower also does the same. And these oils help to calm specifically our fight or flight response. So it works on the sympathetic nervous system, which can help us improve our sleep quality. Once again, chamomile, very, very mild. So if you are a hardcore insomniac, this is not necessarily going to give you spectacular results, but it is worth a shot if you just really struggle to switch your mind off after a long day.
Go on.
I'm going to show you again. Let me just find my pause now that I see the show runs away from me. Chamomile, you can see here in South Africa. We normally get it as a tea, very popular as a tea, but you can also get the essential oils. So it's really all about figuring out what works for you, what is your favorite way of making this a part of your life. Some other properties of chamomile to quickly look at: it helps with inflammation, it's antispasmodic, also antibacterial, it's got some sedative properties, anti-allergen. This one enhances your immunity. So once again, not overnight, but if you make chamomile tea part of your regime before bed, in the long run, it will contribute to giving you a stronger immune system. It's what we call an anti-catarrhal, which means it removes excess mucus. Very handy this time of the year. So many of us struggle with the sinuses. But I need to mention, you need to take this in quite large quantities for it to have a good effect on your sinuses. So if you feel that you're struggling with phlegm and mucus, you're going to have 4 or 5 cups of this during the course of the day, and leave the little tea bag in to really let it steep nice and strong. Just like lavender, analgesic, pain reliever. It's a digestive aid, so having a small cup just before your meal can stimulate those digestive juices. It does support healing throughout the body on a very general level, but the main function is to help us relax a little bit. It's a good antioxidant. Once again, if you take in 3-4 cups a day, it'll help scavenge away all those free radicals. Very good for that. It is mildly antiseptic, and where I found this specifically particularly helpful is sometimes kids tend to get sores on their heads, or they bump their heads, or they get a little infection of the scalp. So if you make a very strong chamomile tea, and you can even mix in some chamomile essential oil, you can rinse the child's head or your own head, whatever it is, any skin condition, wash it with chamomile tea. Or you can drop 1 drop of the chamomile oil into a couple of drops of whatever other oil you have in the house. Olive oil, seed oil, drop a couple of drops, and you can use that as a skin soother as well. Very good for allergic types of conditions. Guess you didn't know this. Oats has some sedative properties. Oats is a very good calming food, probably mainly because it's nice and warm, very soothing food. We almost always consume oats as a porridge. Sometimes you'll see some skincare products, some hair care products that contain oats. But we mostly consume it as a porridge. You can also make yourself an oat milk, very good for people who are lactose intolerant. It does not work in coffee or tea, because the moment you add oats milk to something hot, it turns into porridge. That's definitely not good for a tea, but it makes a great snack. Very easy to make. You just blend up your oats in a blender and squeeze it through a piece of linen cloth, and that milk that comes out the bottom. You can mix in some cinnamon, mix in some honey. It's a very satisfying drink and a nice snack, so that you're not taking in too many extra calories. Oats has, before I get to that, Shanina's saying chamomile, lavender, sandalwood oil, just a few drops mixed with the carrier oil, very good for massaging the body, very calming and relaxing. Absolutely. So you can really make that part of your bedtime regime. Or if you tend to be stressed at work, I actually do my soothing things before starting work. So, oh, great. You know what, guys? Our Zoom meeting is not going to cut us off. Zoom has granted us extra time. So what I'm going to need from you guys, I'm not going to specifically then stop the meeting. If you need a break, please let me know. This is getting long. I need to go and grab some water, and we can all just put ourselves on mute and have a 5-minute break. But I'm going to carry on with this so that we can get through. We've got quite a bit of material that we want to look at. Some other things that oats do, it's good for cardiovascular health. It prevents constipation because it's got a lot of fiber in it. It controls our blood sugar levels because it digests nice and slowly. It can reduce some risk of cancer due to some of the compounds that is in oats. Due to time, I'm once again going to encourage you to read up on that for yourselves. It also reduces hypertension. So once again, if you consume this regularly, it's not going to help you if you just do it once. But if you make oats a daily or every second day breakfast, then you'll definitely see some results. It's a great source of magnesium. It can support your weight loss because it's quite low calorie and it slows down your digestion, so you feel full for quite long if you've had this oats. It enhances your immune response to disease, and it's another food substance that can protect our skin. Just want to one more time mention, you have to use it regularly. Beautiful spice that so many of us use very regularly in our house that has some great properties is nutmeg. Nutmeg is a wonderful sleeping aid, and this is actually my personal favorite. Stan and I take this every single night. This one, as opposed to your lavender or chamomile, can give you quite spectacular results. But once again, higher dosage. So what you would do is you'd start with about 1 teaspoon. It has to be a measured 5 milliliter teaspoon because you want to know exactly how much is your personal dose. Throw that teaspoon of nutmeg powder into a glass of water, or into just a little quarter or half a glass of water. It tastes quite strong. And it takes about 4 hours to kick in. It can take anything from 3 to 5 hours, but the average is 4. So you'll mix the nutmeg into the water, chug it down. You'll want to chase it with something because, like I said, it's quite strong. So if you decide you're going to take it at 6 o'clock every night, see how you feel by 10 or by 11 o'clock. If you're not feeling any result, then the next night take 2 teaspoons. So if again, no result, then the next time take 3 teaspoons until you find how long does it take for you to kick in. You're not going to feel that buzzy, woozy feeling that you do with sleeping pills. So you're really not going to feel, oh, now my head is getting thick. But what it does do is that if you decide I'm taking it at 6 because I want to go to bed at 10, if you put your head down at 10 o'clock, within minutes you will fall asleep. And the main thing, the beauty of this nutmeg is that it helps you stay asleep. That's what it does for us, because my problem is I wake up every hour during the night. So it's brilliant for keeping you asleep. It's a really tasty spice. And nutmeg is made out of the ground seeds of an apricot-like fruit. It's got quite a pungent, dry flavor. So just be sure that you've got something to chase it down. You can use it in seafood. It's lovely in baking. If you like eggs, you can add a little pinch to your scrambled eggs. And yeah, the dosage is really just going to depend on what works for your body. My dosage, Stanley's dosage, is 2.5 teaspoons. So the reason why I mentioned please measure it is because in some places nutmeg can be quite expensive. So you don't want to just haphazardly be eating it and eating more than you really need, because then it's going to just end up costing you a lot of money. If you really struggle with sleep, what you can do is at your local health shop, you can get poppy seeds. Poppy seeds combined with nutmeg is potent, really, really potent. So what you would do is you would mix equal parts of the nutmeg and the poppy seeds. Make sure you grind up the poppy seeds. Otherwise, you can take them whole. I prefer to grind mine up, but really it's up to you. So you can either grind them up or take them whole. And nutmeg combined with poppy seeds can knock you out for up to 12 hours. The nutmeg on its own will give you about 8 hours of solid sleep, but if sleep is a big issue for you, mix it with those poppy seeds for quite a spectacular result. Some more products here. You'll see nutmeg. Also, you get it in an essential oil, but mostly we know it as a culinary herb. The prices in the essential oil doesn't vary so greatly. And the essential oil I would really just use if you like the smell. For me personally, it's very strong. So I don't use the oil. I use it as a culinary spice only. But if you want to mix it into a diffuser with maybe some orange blossom, it can give you a very nice warming fragrance to permeate your house. A couple of other uses that we can have a quick look at. It relieves pain, it aids digestion. So adding it to your food is a very good idea. Very good for brain health. You might not know, but nutmeg is an aphrodisiac. It stimulates the nerves in the brain, and it was commonly used as a brain tonic by the old Greeks and the Romans during the ancient times. It's also known to be an effective ingredient for treating depression and anxiety. Not spectacularly, but used regularly and can give you some results. Yes, still in half a glass of water. Really, the amount of water is up to you. The amount of water plays no role whatsoever in how effective this is. I don't love the taste, so I don't want to make a huge glass that I have to swallow. I mix it in about a quarter glass of water. But if you find that's too strong and you'd rather savor it, then you can add it to more water. I'm going to share a beautiful little video with you very shortly that you can brew it into a nighttime drink. But really, that's entirely up to you. Remember, we're dealing with food here. We're not dealing with narcotics. So you really can't go wrong. The ones that I've chosen to discuss with you guys, you can't overdose on it. You can't take it wrong. So you can't mess it up. Do what works for you. It is also quite effective in treating bad breath. So what you would do is you can ingest it. If you ingest it regularly, it will help with bad breath. But you can rinse out your mouth with nutmeg, and it absorbs some of the bacteria. Shanila again says, turmeric with milk at night. Yes, absolutely. Also has numerous benefits. You are 100% right. We will get to the turmeric in a little bit. She says it helps you sleep like a baby. Also, turmeric is an antibiotic, prevents a lot of discomfort in the body. You are spot on. We are going to talk about turmeric. Turmeric is probably the most researched and spoken about herb or spice, culinary spice in our modern society, which has become quite interested in natural healing. Nutmeg can also help your skin. If you drop a couple of the drops of the oil into your shower gel, you can find that it can help. Also, if you've got acne, you can mix a teaspoon or so of the nutmeg with honey and place that on your skin. That's quite effective for skin breakouts, acne, especially if you get it on your back. Like Shanila said, also with turmeric. Now, you must know turmeric is going to make your skin yellow, so you might not want to use this on your face. But if you've got a breakout on your back or any other parts of your body, mix some nutmeg with turmeric, mix it up with either milk or honey, and leave it on the skin for up to 20 minutes. You can rinse it off with cold water. And that really has some good results that I've seen on skin breakouts. You can, as I've mentioned, I think I did mention that you can diffuse it into a diffuser into the air with some orange blossom. I do want to mention that in some studies, nutmeg oil has been contraindicated in children under 5. So if you're going to be using it around children, just pay close attention to if they have any reaction to it. They normally don't, because once again, I said it's food and I cook with it all the time. My kids are just fine. But do just be aware that there has been some contraindications in children and in pregnant or nursing mothers. So pay close attention to your body. Once again, not everyone, but some people do have a bit of a reaction.
Hi, darling.
Who's talking? Hi, Jenny.
Hey?
Have you got a question for me, Jenny?
No, sorry. I'm just talking to my partner.
Okay, if you want to, you can just hit your mute button. You can just put yourself.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize. Okay.
Great. Right, let's carry on. Let's go back to cinnamon. Cinnamon we normally get as an essential oil. We can use it as a culinary spice or also as a beverage.
I don't know how to make a volume louder.
Oops. And I don't know how to unmute you from my side.
No, it's on max.
There we go. Okay. Gotcha. You are muted. Let's get back to our cinnamon. Cinnamon is a very nice, gently warming spice. It's nice. It's got a bit of a sweetness to it without adding sugar. It's a sugar-free spice. You can use it to flavor your food. It helps to improve your blood sugar levels. And while we're talking about sleep, sleep deprivation increases your cortisol levels, which can cause increased rates of insulin resistance, which, as we all know, we call it type 2 diabetes. Cinnamon helps to improve our glucose tolerance, and this in turn helps us to combat insulin resistance, or that type 2 diabetes. It also improves indigestion, which is valuable because bad digestion can keep us up at night. So you can sprinkle some on your porridge, especially if you want to use maybe a little bit, a small portion of oats before bedtime. You can sprinkle it on your porridge. You can make yourself a milky drink. Use at least a teaspoonful. As with the others, we need to use more than we think we need to use, but these things can be very effective. Just like with the other spices, you'll see you can find a wide variety of brands of essential oils as well as whole cinnamon sticks. You can get it in powdered form, and you can use it for cooking, or you can, so for cooking you can use the actual spice or the essential oil. I'm a big fan of using the actual spice because it adds some fiber to your diet and it makes the food take a little bit longer to digest, and that's how it helps your blood sugar. But you can add some of the essential oil into your diffuser. It smells lovely. You can blend it with a carrier oil to make a nice warming massage oil. Really just play with it. It's quite strong. So take a sniff of it before you buy. Decide if you like it. If you're going to use it in a diffuser or as a massage oil, you're only going to use a drop or two. And then it's not as strong, especially if you mix it with something like an orange blossom or a rose, a nice florally scent. Here in South Africa, the herbs and spices brand that's probably the most widely used and commonly known is the Robertson's Herbs and Spices brand. We all grew up with it in our houses. But over the last couple of years, we've started seeing some new brands on the shelves. They used to only be in health shops, but now they're becoming more readily available. And these newer herbs and spices, if you look at the bottles, you'll see that it says natural or raw. The Robertson stuff is radiurized or irradiated, which is a process that put it through to kill any potential funguses. But what it also does, it greatly reduces the efficacy of these herbs. So look around for alternative brands that have not been radiurized, because they'll have a shorter shelf life. So make sure that if you buy it, that you're going to use it, but you'll get much more benefit out of eating those. Let's just quickly see who's talking. Turmeric powder mixed with honey. Take a teaspoon every day mixed with warm water. Also very beneficial. Numerous. Yes, so that's Sanila again. Thank you, Sanila. I'm really enjoying your contribution. Cinnamon, what did I say? Turmeric. Oh, turmeric. Oh, you see, I'm reading two messages at once. Cinnamon powder. But yes, cinnamon and turmeric, good bedtime drink for you. You can once again mix it with a little bit of honey. It's very nutritive. But honey, same as these spices. If you're buying honey, look for one that says raw or naked or unprocessed, natural. The radiurized honey has been put through a process also to kill bacteria, but it kills the good and bad bacteria, which essentially renders it useless syrup once it's been radiurized. And also in Ayurveda, we know that once honey has been boiled or heated or cooked to a point where it kills the bacteria, it's actually harmful to the body. It leads to toxic buildup over time. It's definitely not going to kill you if you eat it once, but over time, your body just isn't able to properly digest it. Devi sir, thank you for joining us. Greetings to India from South Africa. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Devi is one of my mentors as well. Very good friend of our family and I. I'm really glad that you've joined us. Thank you so much. Some other uses for cinnamon. Cinnamon improves digestion. Like I said, if you have it whole, if you add the powder to your food, because then it's quite rough, it can help the bowels. It relieves coughs and colds because it's nice and warming. It helps you manage diabetes, like I've mentioned. It can alleviate cardiac ailments in very large doses. So if you've got cardiac issues, please don't stop your meds. Talk to a doctor before you stop any medication. Never just switch your medication to herbal stuff, but it is definitely a good idea to add cinnamon to your regime. It can just support what you're already taking from your cardiologist. And another one that enhances skin health. So you can add a couple of drops of the essential oil to your soap, add it to your body lotion, and you'll get the benefit from that. I've got a little video that I want to share with you. This is my mentor and my herbology teacher, Kartapung Singh Khalsa, KP Khalsa. He is a renowned herbologist, has 40 years or more experience. He's the founder of the Herbalism Guild in America, and really a father of herbology and Ayurveda here in the West. So you've probably all seen that yogi tea or yogi chai on the shelves. It's all over the world. And KP Khalsa is the man who put that on the shelves for us. I'm going to share his own initial original recipe. So you can sit back and watch this little video.
Hello everyone, we're back in my kitchen with Kartapung Singh Khalsa. Hi there. And today we have a very special treat for you. We're going to make yogi tea. KP, tell us about yogi tea.
Yogi tea is a traditional formula from India. It's a warming combination of spices that enhances digestion, increases circulation throughout the body, and pumps up the immune system. So in my house, we drink this tea every single day. It's a 6 ingredients that have broad spectrum action for every system in your body. Be using, and it's tasty.
What's in yogi tea?
Well, yogi tea is this combination of 6.
Oh dear. Sorry guys, let me just get that to start again. Where is it now? There we go.
Hello everyone, we're back in my kitchen with Kartapung Singh Khalsa.
Hi there.
And today we have a very special treat for you. We're going to make yogi tea. KP, tell us about yogi tea.
Yogi tea is a traditional formula from India. It's a warming combination of spices that enhances digestion, increases circulation throughout the body, and pumps up the immune system. So in my house, we drink this tea every single day. It's a 6 ingredients that have broad spectrum action for every system in your body, literally. Slightly warming, delicious. It's a good substitute for other less healthy kinds of things that you might otherwise be using, and it's tasty.
What's in yogi tea?
Well, yogi tea is this combination of 6 herbs. The first 3 are cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves, all warming kinds of remedies, as we said. Cinnamon is a warming digestion enhancer that has good taste, a little bit of benefit for blood sugar, and a little bit pain relieving. Cardamom is one of the world's most expensive spices, a delicious seed from India. It's a member of the ginger family, a seed pod from a type of ginger plant, a relative of the ginger that we eat, particularly good for enhancing digestion, reducing gas, and increases mental clarity, mental alertness, and cognition, proper thinking and intellect. Clove, another tropical spice that warms up digestion, reduces gas, increases the digestive function, and is good for warming up sort of stiff and cold, crackly, unlubricated joints. Black pepper is the 4th spice, the most well-regarded blood purifying medicine in Asia. Black pepper has a special affinity for the sinuses, helping its medicine to go there and helping to relieve sinus congestion. Black pepper is a digestive aid and an immune enhancer as well, mild circulation enhancer. Number 5 is ginger, which Ayurveda calls the universal medicine. So there's nothing in Ayurveda that doesn't benefit from ginger. So a mild digestion enhancer again, but very health enhancing for all the systems of your body, including immune function, has a special affinity for the uterus, so it's used for menstrual cramps, and for the joints, so it's very well known as an arthritis remedy for osteoarthritis. The 6th ingredient is actually black tea. We're going to put in a very small amount of black tea, a tiny proportion. It's only a quarter teaspoon per cup. But according to the original recipe, that black tea is there to amalgamate the formula or synergize the other ingredients, and it adds a little bit to the taste. We're going to cook all that up, then we'll add some milk, bring it back to a boil, and you have typical kind of Indian style chai, but with a lot more emphasis on the medicinal ingredients, a higher quantity of those medicinal ingredients, and a lot less of the black tea. This is a recipe for 4 cups of yogi tea. We've added the first 5 ingredients. We brought it to a boil, then we allowed it to simmer. Now it's finished simmering, and we're going to add the black tea. Here's our black tea, quarter teaspoon per cup. We'll let that just work its way into the mixture a little bit. Now we're ready for the milk. So this tea is right at a high simmer, and now when we add the milk, it's going to go back down to cool, but we'll just leave the burner on and then allow it to come back to boiling, and that's it. You just want to bring it right up to boiling and stop right at that point. We can see that the milk is just coming right up to that boiling point. I'm watching it very, very carefully because in a moment it's just going to start to come to that point where it's going to froth up. I'm going to be very quick. I'm going to grab it from the burner, and we're all set. That's good. After the milk was added to the yogi tea, the milk boiled and came up to a frothing point. We took it off the burner, and now we're going to strain out the solid ingredients. Very simple. We're just going to pour it right through the strainer. Easy enough. All we need to do there. Ready for drinking. You can add some honey to taste if you like.
Okay, that's good. Let's check it out. Oh, that's fantastic. Katie, thank you so much for sharing this recipe that your mentor shared with you, this traditional recipe.
Thanks for having me over. Glad you like.
All right.
All right, so there you have it, original recipe from India. It's just beautiful stuff. It's delicious, and it's really different if you make it yourself. If you're going to be adding honey to sweeten it a little bit, please let it just sit and cool down first, because like I just mentioned, you don't want to be throwing fresh honey into anything that's close to a boiling temperature. So let your tea sit until it's on a cooler temperature that it's ready for drinking, and then you add your honey. I've got a little list of a couple of things here in front of me that I want to share with you as well. We've covered some of the most common sleeping aids that most of us have lying around the house that might just be underutilized because we don't know about all the cool things that these plants do in our bodies. But remember, our immune system is strengthened and our bodies go through a natural detoxification process while we're sleeping. So getting adequate sleep is crucial to building a healthy and strong immune system. If you are keen to go and visit a health shop and try some of the more specialized herbal sleeping aids, then some of the ones that you might want to try that I know have very little or no side effects and that I've used myself and that I recommend to others is ashwagandha, valerian root, passion flower, marshmallow, brahmi, and shankarpushpi. So those are the ones that are frequently stocked in your health shops. You won't really see them in regular shops, but if you want to go for something more specialized, then those are the ones to go for. Next topic we're going to look at is eating, the importance of what we put into our body. In Ayurveda, we consider each meal an opportunity to take in medicine, and the need for natural medicine we consider an opportunity to create a stunning meal at any and every mealtime. There's a saying that you've all heard, that you are what you eat, but in Ayurveda we say you are what you digest. And this means that the food that you put into your mouth eventually becomes your skin, it becomes your muscles, your bones, your blood. So it's no surprise that Ayurveda really emphasizes proper digestion. If you've listened to the radio podcasts, you would have heard that I speak about your digestion all the time. There's a concept in Ayurveda that we call Agni. Agni is the fire that in Ayurveda we say cook, but really that just means it breaks down the food inside the body. Agni is our digestive fire. You might feel it as hunger. It's a feeling that is hot and sharp. It's a light feeling. and it shares the same qualities as the sun. In Ayurveda, we also even say that it's connected to the sun. So just like the sun, our Agni, our digestive fire, is strongest in the middle of the day when the sun is high in the sky. So our digestive fire, just like the sun, also winds down as the sun begins to set, part of the circadian rhythm that we've mentioned earlier on. And for this reason, Ayurveda stresses that we eat our largest meal at lunch when our digestive fire is strongest to really optimize digestion. Ayurveda also emphasizes that we eat something easy to digest before dinner and not a very heavy meal. But unfortunately, as a culture, we work long hours during the day and we very often use dinner time as a way to connect with our families at night. But unfortunately, this habit of eating a heavy meal late at night does not align our body's natural biorhythm to nature. And as a result, the food that we eat does not digest properly and our sleep can be affected by indigestion. So we want to be eating our largest meal at lunch when the sun is high in the sky, and we want to eat something light and easy to digest at night before the sun sets, preferably. Now, next we're having a look at that worksheet again. We'll do that at the end if we have time. Just reiterate again, as I've said before, Ayurveda really emphasizes proper digestion for good health. So there's a couple of other things that you can also do to help support your digestive fire. And one of them is eating food that is rich in what we call prana. Prana is a Sanskrit term that means life force or energy. Traditional Chinese medicine calls it qi. So for those of you with a background in yoga, you may have already been introduced and you might be familiar with these concepts. And just as we have life force that circulates through our bodies, so also does the food that we eat have life force, that energy of the sun that is converted into energy for us to eat. When we eat food rich in prana, rich in this life force, we have more life force, we have more prana. And the more life force we have, the better we feel, right? Food that's rich in prana are those that we can eat that once was living, like fruits, vegetables, legumes, which means beans, peas, lentils, those things, fish and meat, if it's been organically grown, fresh, good quality meat, not the tinned stuff. And the more the food has been processed, the less prana the food has. So therefore, canned food, frozen food, the dehydrated food from a box, those will give us less life force than food that has been recently harvested. I know right now people are stocking up. They're buying a lot of canned food, frozen foods in preparation for the worst, just in case and if. Hopefully most of that panic has died down, but I know a lot of us still have a lot of these processed things in our house. In order for our immune system to work optimally, we really need to just focus on consuming these products as a last resort if we really can't get to the fresh thing. Another great and easy way that we can consume prana and diversify our micronutrients is to eat more spices. Choose your favorite spices and add them to any meal. Experiment with new spices. Visit an Indian shop. There's a little Indian shop quite close to me that's stocks stuff that I didn't necessarily grow up using, like asafoetida or hing, fenugreek. So experiment. Ask your vendor or your local Indian or Eastern shop, Turkish shop, whatever you have in your area, what can you use, and try some new things. It just adds all of that diverse elements into your diet. I would like to know from you guys, if you drop it in the chat for me, what are your favorite spices? I'm talking about learning from the shops, but let's learn from each other. Have you guys got a favorite spice? What do you enjoy cooking with? You can unmute yourself. You can just speak up if it works for you. My recent new favorite is asafoetida. The Hindi name is hing. And I grew up with it a little bit, but then I stopped using it because when you open the packet, it really smells extremely funky. So I just stopped cooking with it, and it gives your food such a rich flavor. Paprika, yes, paprika has a beautiful smoky flavor. I add it to my soups very often, up to 4 tablespoons. Cumin, another spice. Cumin is a spice I didn't really grow up with. I learned about it in India, and now I brew it into tea. I put it in my curries. You can just use it in so many, and we tend to think of spices that it has to make the food spicy, but we don't have to use it in large quantities. Paprika as well. There we go. Yes, paprika is just a beautiful, beautiful spice. Gives food a smoky flavor. Yes, talk to me.
I love jeera.
Jeera. I don't know jeera. What is jeera?
It's cumin.
Oh, is that just a different name for cumin? Yes, very popular. Do you ever make it into a tea?
I prefer putting it into sour milk, mixing it into sour milk.
Okay.
It makes a nice sour milk.
Yes, yes. Are you from India? Where are you from?
No, from Lanesia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a very Indian thing with a lassi and mixing it into milk or into sour milk. We have that all the time. What is your name?
Anasuya.
There we go, because I just see Galaxy on my computer screen. Thank you for being here. It's so good to meet you. Anyone else?
Thanks.
Cayenne pepper. There we go. Seeing cayenne pepper, yeah. I'm seeing cinnamon. Lovely. Jeera, the mustard seeds. I don't often use the seeds because I'm lazy and I've got a giant packet of mustard powder. Oh, this looks fantastic. I'm going to definitely save this chat. Soup, I've learned now recently, is a different name for fennel. Or fennel. I think it's fennel. I use that in tea all the time as well. So guys, if you can, just at the bottom of the chat, there's 3 little dots. You can save the chat. Save the chat, copy it, copy all of these things, add it onto your daily regime. There we go, let's move on. Once again, we'll get to the worksheet afterwards. I want to talk a little bit about some systems that we can add to supplement our healthy lifestyle. We can add all of these spices into our food, into porridges, into puddings, play with it and see what you can do to make your diet a little bit more diverse. Lemongrass, another very, very popular herb as well. Beautiful for food, especially Asian dishes, if we use it in small enough quantities. So something that I suggest to my coaching clients is to put systems in place that really support healthy eating and healthy habits. And one of the ways that we can do that is that we can create a meal plan once or twice a week. If you wait until you're hungry before you start cooking, you're more likely to eat foods lacking in prana. You're more likely to grab that packet of cookies or that tin of something. So to eliminate snacking when you're bored, make sure that you've got a meal plan ready. You can also make a list of the snacks that you plan on having during the day so that you know, okay, here are my snacks. I'm not going to just grab everything that's in front of me out of the cupboard every hour because you'll really pile on the calories unnecessarily if you do that. And you can also, when you're finished eating, clean up, brush your teeth, close the kitchen. In restaurants, they close the kitchen and you can order no more. So I want to encourage you to do that in your own house as well. Once you've done eating, clean up, brush your teeth, tell your body and your environment that we are no longer serving food until the next meal time. An Indian practice that's very effective, that we also don't know very well here in the West, is a practice that we call nasya. I hope that the slide is going to show. And it's an Ayurvedic technique that you can do to boost your immune system. Nasya is the application of oil drops into the nose. It lubricates and protects the nasal passages from airborne irritants and germs. And it also helps relieve sinus congestion, dryness, tension in the head and the neck. And it helps balance all of your doshas that we'll speak about in a different seminar. I just want to see what is going on with my slideshow. Tech support. You know what, guys, let's take a 5-minute break. Let me just see if I can sort out this technical area that I have. So we're going to take 5 minutes. It's just about 12 o'clock now. So give yourselves 5 minutes, go and take a little walk, make yourself a nice cup of tea, and then I'll be back with you in 5 minutes. Okay, guys, we're ready to continue. Just want to see if I can get back to sharing my screen with you. Question here, whether a nutmeg can be used in hyperpigmentation. I've seen some very varying results. So it certainly is something that you can try. I would make it into a paste that you can use on top of the skin topically and let that dry. So mix it into a paste with a little bit of milk or water, something dry, not oil. If you've got a very dry skin, you can actually mix it with a bit of oil. Let it sit on the face for at least 20 minutes and then use small circular motions to massage the skin and to do a bit of an exfoliation with that. So yes, you can most certainly try it. I have found rooibos tea, if it's something that you can find where you are, to also be very, very beneficial. You can make yourself a facial scrub containing nutmeg and cinnamon and rooibos tea. You can even mix in a little bit of honey and see how that goes if you make it into a mask on your skin. For hormonal balance, my personal favorite, is this a female hormone imbalance, right? My absolute personal favorite and go-to that I prescribe to everybody is shatavari. Shatavari is a great female hormone regulator. If you're not keen on buying herbs and spices dry from a vendor or from an Indian shop, you can look at the Himalaya brand that you will find in any pharmacy or health shop. They've got two options that can help you, so try both. I've used both. The one that's worked the best for me with menopausal symptoms was one called Women's Wellness. That is shatavari. So it's just a processed capsule form. If you can get it in a raw form from your vendor, or alternatively, you can just send me an email. I can find it for you as well. It's going to work you out much cheaper. But you can buy Women's Wellness, which is shatavari, or also in the Himalaya brand, they've got one called Eve Care. So with both of those, you need to take possibly more than what they indicate on the bottle. So start with the dose indicated on the container. If you're getting no result, double the dose. If you're getting no result, increase the dose again and again until you start feeling a result. But give it 3-4 days to start feeling some results. I want to invite you, send me an email, Elanie at omysoul, ELANIE at omysoul.com, and send me some more information on your specific issue that you would like advice on, and then I can advise you better. Okay, so for the sake of time, let's get back to our presentation. We spoke about nausea, which is the application of oil on the inside of the nostril. You can use a little dropper, or if you're not keen to be pouring oil down your nose, you can just add a little bit onto your finger and just rub it onto the insides of your nose. In Ayurveda, because like I mentioned earlier, it is said that prana is a life force that exists in us and in our food, and it's also in our breath. It's carried within the oxygen that we breathe. And because of this, Ayurveda believes that the nose is a direct route to the brain and the doorway to consciousness. That's what Ayurveda says. So you can make of that what you will and decide how much of that you want to embrace. Ayurveda suggests that nausea is not only to boost immunity, but it also ensures proper flow of this life force throughout our body. And to practice it, all you need is an oil dropper or your fingers. You can buy pre-made nausea oils online. But really, you don't even have to go fancy. You really just need some sesame oil or coconut oil. Try to find an oil that's not very strong smelling and apply that on the inside of the nostrils. I want to mention at this stage that all of these things I'm mentioning, you certainly don't have to do all of it. I'm giving you suggestions and you can pick and choose which ones will work for you. Choose what you think you can fit into your life, what you're comfortable with, and build it up slowly. You definitely don't have to change your entire life and do everything in one go. If you do decide that you want to administer nausea oil, you're going to tilt your head back until your nostrils face towards the sky, as you're seeing here in this picture. And you're just going to place 3 to 5 drops of oil into each nostril, or once again, just use your finger and give it a good sniff. You want to really sniff that oil all the way down through the passages until you feel it in your throat. And that's it. It's really a simple practice. Decide if you want to do it or not. You can use ghee as well. In India, ghee is very widely used. Let's talk about movement and the effect of movement in our bodies. If I can get my slide to change. There we go. Movement. We wake up each morning with a stiff body. Our oxygen levels are low. Our blood is stagnant. And therefore, it's really critical that we exercise every day to maintain optimal health. Just like stagnant water becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and parasites, a stagnant body can block the flow of prana and create disease. In my practice, I insist that my clients exercise for a minimum of 20 minutes a day. You'll see on my yoga videos, I also say doing less, but doing it consistently is much better than trying to kill yourself once or twice a week. So take it slow, take it easy, but do it consistently, 20 minutes a day, even if it's just some 10 sun salutations when you wake up. You can walk around the block, walk to work instead of driving if that's an option for you. It really doesn't have to be a full-blown workout, even if it's just some stretching. I know that a lot of people aren't legally able to leave the house or to go for a walk, or maybe it just isn't even possible for you to leave your house if you've got kids that you need to watch. But it's important that you find some sort of activity that moves your body for a minimum of 20 minutes. And this can be yoga, it can be Pilates, dancing, hula hoop. You can walk in circles around your living room or backyard, anything, just get moving. There's loads and loads of free little 10-minute home fitness videos that you can find on YouTube and on Instagram. And I believe you can find some live group classes at the Ayurveda Institute's online satsang. So I will drop that link in the chat for you as soon as we've stopped this video. And maybe you can let me know in your comments how many of you managed to stay active. I've really taken my practice online because then I've got some accountability. Shanila says yoga every day is perfect for maintaining balance in body and mind and soul. I fully agree with you, Shanila. I'm a little bit guilty. I don't exercise each and every day as much as I would like to, but we can do the best that we can. So some ideas, if you want to take some notes, we can do yoga, Pilates, dancing, jumping jacks, burpees, hula hoop, take a walk, go jogging, or like I said, just do some stretching. Choose your favorite ones. Got some questions in here again that we'll look at the end if there is some time. Let's quickly recap. So far, we have learned that to boost immunity, we need to maintain a routine. If possible, we need to be in bed by 10 o'clock and wake before sunrise. We want to eat our largest meal of the day at lunch between 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And then we want to eat something light and easy to digest for dinner. And we want to have that before the sun sets. We want to eat food that's rich in prana, so food that was once alive. And we want to eat more spices, any spices, variety, just add it into your food. An option is to add nausea, that nasal oil, to our daily routine if you think that's something you want to try, and to exercise for at least 20 minutes every single day, no matter what form of exercise you choose. And the next one we're going to get to is reducing vata to reduce our anxiety. Because Ayurveda is such a holistic science, just practicing these things will give you a positive effect on your body and mind. But I understand that people are experiencing more anxiety than usual. So if it looks overwhelming and just looking at this list creates anxiety for you, then really just pick one or two. You don't have to turn your whole life onto its head. Anxiety, according to Ayurveda, is a vata imbalance. Now, vata has the qualities of being mobile and light. And when we have an excess of these qualities in our body and mind and in our nervous system, it expresses itself as fear, anxiety, contraction, loneliness, and even a sense of ungroundedness. So if this sounds familiar to any of you, especially here in South Africa, we are in autumn, which is very much a vata season. We are so much more prone to experiencing these symptoms at this time of the year. And like Shanila said as well, people with anxiety know that activities like yoga, meditation, and walking in nature has a very healing effect on our bodies. So I want to give you some extra additional Ayurvedic recommendations that you can also add into your lifestyle. According to Ayurveda, like increases like, and vata is erratic. Vata has the qualities of being light, dry, rough. Think of your skin. Your skin might be feeling rough and dry, cold hands and feet. And tastes in our food that's going to aggravate those qualities are going to be pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes. Astringent is more a mouthfeel, like a drying feeling if you think of eating a pomegranate or a green banana. So tastes like that can make our vata feel even more erratic. One of the best medicines for calming vata is having a daily routine. An irregular routine disturbs vata, which creates chaos, not only in your mind, but also in your body. So Ayurveda believes that opposites balance, and therefore having a steady daily routine creates stability and calms that vata energy. The qualities of vata that you can observe within your body and mind, if you pay attention, have a little bit of a self-assessment and see, do you have any dry patches, cold hands and feet? How are you feeling? Can you feel vata in your body? And know that the effect in your mind is very often anxiety. So to pacify vata, we can do a couple of things. One of the best medicines that we can use next to having a routine is oil. Having a routine, very good for calming, but oil is one of the best medicines for calming vata. Because vata is so cold and dry, applying oil to the skin before getting into your shower or after your shower will lubricate your skin and nourish your body and your mind. You can choose from sesame, avocado, almond oil. Those are all amazing for vata, but really use whatever works for you and what makes you feel good. And if you want to really be feeling fancy, you can add a couple of drops of your favorite essential oil, especially like we've mentioned, lavender. It smells great. Mixed with oil, it's not too strong on your body. And lavender oil has those calming effects that can really nourish the senses. That's why we like going to a spa, right? It nourishes all the senses. We have our sense of touch satisfied with a massage. We smell the beautiful products. It's usually a beautiful environment. So treat yourself and do that for yourself. For pacifying vata, we can eat grounding foods cooked in warming spices. So grounding foods are going to be things like roast root veggies, stews, bone broth, one-pot meals. Vata is cold and light and dry, so dishes like cold leafy green salads and undercooked cabbages and things like that is going to aggravate that vata. Not only is it difficult to digest, but the cold, light and dry attributes of vata within those foods get absorbed into your body, and it amplifies those qualities that already exist. Remember, we said if food has prana, we absorb that prana. Also, if food has light, dry qualities, we'll be absorbing that and be making that a part of our own bodies. Let's look at some immune boosting herbs and things that we have in our own kitchens. You remember the yogi tea video that we just watched? Who can remember the first 3 ingredients? Drop it in the comments, or you can unmute yourself. Who can remember? What were the first 3 things that we looked at? Anyone take notes?
Cloves, cinnamon,
There we go.
and cardamom.
Yes, there we go. We have a winner. Good job. I can see a Huawei, but I can't see your name. What's your name?
Yeah, it's your favorite guest. It's actually Rajima and Vijayan Vaitalingam.
Yay! I'm so glad you guys are here. It's wonderful having you.
Thank you, Elanie.
There we go. Shout out from Stanley to you guys as well. I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, Stanley.
Vijayan is 100% correct. The first 3 spices were cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves. And all of these are nice warming spices that will help calm erratic, anxiety-causing vata elements. Cardamom has some immune boosting properties, but it's really better as a digestive aid and a spice to enhance mental alertness. The 4th spice that KP Khalsa mentioned for us was black pepper. Black pepper has a specific special affinity for the sinuses. In other words, it helps the sinus remedies that we ingest to go specifically to the sinuses where we want them to go to action, to go to work. So if you're going to be using any spices, add a pinch of black pepper. It'll just make it more effective. Black pepper is a good digestive aid, enhances immunity, exactly like I mentioned, by taking the medicinal plants to where they need to go. And because of its warming properties, it's very good for increasing your circulative health. The next spice I want to talk about is ginger. Of course, Ayurveda calls ginger the universal medicine. We can often say that if you can't cure it with ginger, just don't even bother with it. So this is really a potent health remedy and immune booster to have around in any form, either raw or powdered. In the raw form, it has more of a general effect, whereas in the powdered form, it more specifically goes to the sinuses and the lungs. Ginger is a mild digestive enhancer. It's a very potent, broad spectrum health food, and we really should try to incorporate it into our diets as much as possible. It has a special affinity for the uterus, so ladies with the menstrual cramps, you need to take in quite a bit. I've honestly never been able to take in enough of this to really help me in that department, but it's worth a shot. I recommend that you throw it through a juicer or you grate it. Ginger has quite a bit more juice in it than you think. It looks like a hard, dry root, but if you start grating it, it's really quite juicy. You need about 30-40 milliliters, a shot glass full. And for interest sake, ginger can also stop a migraine in its tracks. So if you feel those first signs of a migraine coming on, throw some ginger through your juicer or grate it up, once again about a shot glass full, and drink that down, and in about 90% of cases, it'll knock that migraine right out of you. How many times a day and what time is best to take the yogi tea? 100% up to you. I find it quite filling. So if I have it during the day, then I don't eat my food, which is not very healthy. But if you've got more of an appetite, you can have it throughout the day. It's a great immune booster. It's a great calming drink. Ideally before bed. I love having it before bed. But now, especially in winter, if you want to make a pot for yourself, make your 4 cups and sip it throughout the day, very welcome to do that. It's a beautiful, beautiful drink, and you cannot have too much of it. If you don't use dairy, or if dairy makes you phlegmy, like it does with so many of us, aggravating the sinuses, make it with soy milk or with almond milk or with any other plant milk. I make it with plant milk because my body doesn't tolerate dairy very well, but that's once again 100% up to you. Just listen to your own body and your own needs. We've got a couple of herbs that are called immunomodulators. Immunomodulators are remedies that change the immune response in some or other way. They assist the body to be more vigilant or to be more able to fight or kill invaders, those pathogens, germs. And unfortunately, there's very little science on exactly how these remedies do what they do. So we all know, all that we really know is that they work. We don't really know how they work, but we know that they do work. Some of these have a long-term action, meaning that if you take a certain thing like garlic over a long period of time, in the long run, you're going to experience less sickness. While others, like echinacea, will work more acutely to fight off an infection as it occurs in your body. Immunomodulators also tend to have a wide range of actions. So once again, these are not very well documented, not as well as we would like them to be documented. We know that they do certain things, but they might be doing more of other things. Only time will tell. The ones that are the most readily available and well known to us here in South Africa are echinacea, chilies, and garlic. Once again, we're not entirely sure how they work, just that, that time has proven that they do indeed work. Garlic kills certain kinds of bacteria on contact, and this is not as well proven as we'd like it, but the result throughout the generations certainly has been consistent enough that there's even garlic supplements to be found in shops, which might be an option for you if you don't really want to have garlic breath for the entire day. Garlic is a very effective immunomodulator if taken consistently over a long time, but it's not very effective against viral infections. Acutely, it's better for bacterial or yeast infections, but taken over a long period of time, you're just generally going to experience less flu-type symptoms because it stimulates more white blood cell activity in the long run, but really upwards of 6 months to a year before it really starts doing that in your body. It's a really slow, gradual process. Something for you to just take note of if you want to buy it. You can obviously use the fresh garlic. I love fresh garlic for bacterial infections, but once again, you need to eat about 12 cloves a day. So it is a lot, much more than most people are comfortable eating. So therefore, you can opt for the bottled form. You can get it mixed with parsley, which will make sure that it has no smell or no body odor for you afterwards. Or you can just have raw garlic, depends on what works for you, extremely effective. Next one that's very readily available to us is echinacea. And up to a couple of years ago, there was really a big echinacea hysteria, which has more or less died down now, thankfully. Echinacea, on the other hand, has been proven in laboratories to increase white blood cell count. And more white blood cells, of course, mean that we have more fighters to attack the bad guys that happen to make it into our system. So echinacea is very effective for acute treatment of manifested colds and flus. Garlic will be your better option to slam acute bacterial infections if you can get it in high enough doses. But for viral things like colds and flus, echinacea is a really, really potent thing that you can take. I've mentioned the hysteria that's been going on, but it was with good reason. Echinacea does stimulate an immune response by making us generate more white blood cells. But echinacea also has the effect that it can make the tissues degenerate. So taking it over a long period of time is not going to necessarily give you any more of an effect. Rather, when you first feel the first onset of a cold and flu, slam it with massive doses of this echinacea. You can have 30 to 40 drops, 3 to 4 times a day, and that'll just knock it right out of your system, rather than trying to take 10 drops a day every day for the rest of your life. Certainly not a crime if you do want to be taking it long term, but you're not going to necessarily get good effect. You're just going to be spending money. There's some of your options to buy it. You can get different brands, you can get capsules. I am always a fan of the drops, but really whatever works for you. You'll often see it combined. In the yellow one in the middle, it's combined with, what is it? I'll get to it later. I'm just going blank here because I've got 2 screens open. But you can have it in combinations. You can take it in combination with garlic if you're not quite sure. Mega Mix is also very beneficial for body, including pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, flax seeds, sunflower, chia in our diet. Also nuts, absolutely 100% right. I am going to be talking a little bit about vitamin D. You're 100% right with that. If you are taking omega oils, flaxseed is a very good option because it has omega-3, 6, and 9. And for our body to use omega-6 effectively, it needs to be balanced out with 6 and 9. So just say taking something like evening primrose oil, which is just omega-6, can actually have a bit of a toxic effect on the body. So make sure you get a good combination of those oils. Chili, culinary spice. You can have it in capsule form. Chilies in general are quite antiviral, but once again, they're pretty mild. And the only reason for this is that the active ingredient that has the bug-busting properties, capsaicin, is also what makes chilies taste so hot. So unfortunately, most of us just can't tolerate it in quantities that would be sufficient to really pack a punch to cure any sort of ailment, either in our mouth or in our tummies. But you can take it in capsule form, or you can just make it a little bit more of a regular star in your dishes. A pinch here and there will give you some results. In capsule form, you'll often see this packaged as cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is actually 8 times hotter than chili, which means that it has more capsaicin, which is the stuff you want to be getting into your system to kill the bad guys. So this definitely is an option if you can tolerate it in your tummy. Cayenne also incidentally great for depression, but you need to take about 2 teaspoons a day. So if you can manage to somehow get that in, combined with something like ashwagandha, it has an amazing effect on depression. You'll start feeling it after maybe 6 weeks. It takes a little bit of time to start kicking into your system. I want to quickly point out to you, because I keep on talking about these things being good for viruses or bacteria, but what is the difference? Bacteria is a large organism. It's up to 1,000 times larger than a virus. A virus is very small. Bacteria is very easily recognized by the immune system, whereas viruses elude the immune system until they reach the organ where they go and manifest. Your bacteria will often infect openings of the body, so the mouth, ears, nose, throat, exit channels. That's where you'll feel your bacteria. Where viruses go deep into the body, they affect the liver, the intestines, the lungs. That's where you'll find your viruses. And bacteria, because it is a large living organism with a body, it can be attacked directly, can be poisoned by antibiotics, drugs, herbs. But viruses don't have a body. They are basically just a DNA programming thing that attaches to the cell and reprograms the cell to reproduce itself. So there's your main differences. How do I know whether I have a bacterial or a viral infection? The symptoms of bacteria will be local. You will feel my ear is sore, or I have an infected sore on my skin, whereas viruses is more a systemic thing where you're just overall feeling ratty. Your whole body aches. You're feeling run down overall. Then it's more likely a virus. Bacteria will often give you a high spike in temperature, where virus will give you more of a constant low-grade fever. If you have mucus, if the mucus is thick and you not see-through, it's opaque and it's got some sort of a color, green or yellow, then it's more likely to be bacteria. Where virus, if you have mucus, it's more likely to be a thin, clear mucus. But this looks very good on paper, but really it's much more tricky than that. So I'm not going to really go into it very deep in this specific workshop. I just wanted to touch on it so that we can know that there's 4 basic steps to treating a microbial infection. We have to kill the invading microbes directly, providing that they are not a virus, because remember, viruses are fought off by the immune system. We cannot take drugs or herbs to kill a virus directly. Our immune system needs to have enough fighters of its own. And that's what we're learning in this workshop, is how to get our own reservoir of fighters to have a nice strong army. We need to stimulate immune response by taking herbs, like I've mentioned, echinacea, we can do garlic, turmeric, ginger. We want to support the infected tissue. Like if you're struggling with recurring lung issues, you can take herbs like dry ginger in large quantities to specifically fortify the lungs. And we want to support long-term immune response by taking things like our garlic, our turmeric, also ginger. We can treat a bacterial infection, firstly, by killing the bacteria. And what do we want to use? That was the thing I forgot, golden seal. So bacterial infection, what we'll do is we'll take the golden seal that we can get at pharmacies or health shops. I'm just mentioning this, that if you want to go out and buy herbal remedies. But of course, if you want to know what you can grab from the pantry, you can just crush up finely chopped garlic. Crush up your garlic, chop it up finely, and down it with some water. It tastes absolutely disgusting, and you want to make sure that you chop it up finely enough that it doesn't hurt your throat, specifically because you want to be eating about 12 cloves throughout the day. Garlic still works if you cook it, but the longer you cook it, the less potent it is. Golden seal root is a very broad spectrum antibacterial. It's got a very cooling effect, so it helps for fevers as well. It contains a substance called berberine, which directly poisons the bacteria. And berberine also stimulates macrophage activity. Macrophages, if you look at those little pictures that you'll see, macrophage literally means big eater. It's a big thing that floats around your system and absorbs any baddies that manage to make their way inside. Very astringent, holds back mucus. So if you're struggling with sinuses, infections this time of the year, then golden seal is definitely a very good go-to for you, very often combined with echinacea, so that you get those flu counteracting properties as well as some anti-mucus response. Step 3, we want to be supporting the tissue. Elecampane or nettle is what you'll find readily in the health shop. And these are, once again, not things that we normally have lying around the house, but you can make yourself nice, hearty one-pot meals to support your tissues. Remember, we were talking about oil. Don't throw 2 cups of oil in your food, but you are very welcome to add just a little bit more oil to your one-pot meal with your veggies. Have some nice broth with it. Be sure to spice it up with some ginger, turmeric, garlic. You don't need massive quantities. If you add it to each meal, then you can get away with half to 1 teaspoon, but you don't have to add massive quantities. Let's look at treating a viral infection. If you do want to go and explore your health shop, here are a few of the things that you want to look at that are quite well known. St. John's warts. It's got pretty good scientific backing. Got quite a track record treating certain chronic viral infections. It's generated quite a bit of interest in the scientific field in the treatment of HIV or AIDS, which is a long-term viral infection. Palm oil is perfect, cholesterol-free. Yes, indeed. Palm oil is a very cooling oil as well. So if you want to be using that on your skin, especially in summer, so I recommend that we use the more warming oils in winter, the nut and seed oils. And in summer, definitely coconut oil, very good go-to. St. John's wort that I was just mentioning, it works very slowly. So it's not the best thing for colds and flus, but taken in moderate doses over a long period of time, it helps with chronic viral infections like recurring herpes viral sores in the mouth. It could be noted that one thing that you need to be aware of, that we should note though, is that St. John's wort can have some blood thinning actions. So if you're a bleeder, you need to do a little bit more research on this before you start taking it. And it can also interfere with blood thinning meds, so just double check with your doctor if you are on blood thinners. Very, very effective in viral treatments is a berry called cubeb berry. Here in South Africa, I actually haven't seen it. What we have here very readily available is elderberry. I'll mention both because they basically do the same thing. Cubeb berry is incredible, but like I said, I don't see it here, so opt for your elderberry. Elderberry is fantastic. Cubeb berry and elderberry are not the same thing. Cubeb berry also goes by the name of Java pepper. I've personally found elderberry, which is very readily available here, to be extremely effective against cold and flu, especially if you combine it with echinacea. So if you want to take a combination of echinacea with that golden seal and add some of the elderberry, which is very high also in vitamin C, you're really going to pack a punch on that cold. You can see on this picture, you can find it in the form of drops. You can find dry berries that you can make desserts with. You can make it into a tea. So however you can get it in, get it in. It's a very tasty little berry. It's not too strong. Many brands combine elderberry and echinacea. And if you don't want to buy the already combined one, buy them separately. But I do recommend that you take them together. Once again, in doses much higher. They put the dose on the bottle that they think is not going to freak you out. But you can really double, triple, quadruple of these herbals. Really, if you've got a cold or a flu, you want to be taking 40 drops 4 times a day instead of 10 drops twice a day. You can really pack a very powerful punch with this. So that these berries have really been pushed out of the way by more trendy types of herbs like pomegranate and acai berry. But yeah, one that we also hear about a lot, moringa. Moringa does 1,000 things, but it doesn't do any of them very well. Whereas your cubeb berry or your elderberry do a few things, but it does it extraordinarily well. So rather go for that. There's nothing wrong with moringa. You can add it to your, it's more of a dietary food stuff with the nutritive profile of spinach or alfalfa. But if you can find it and it's affordable, then by all means have it. Let's get to turmeric, which has been mentioned. Turmeric has a very high antioxidant and antimicrobial profile, so it assists in reducing the symptoms of cold and flu, and it's probably, like I said, the most researched herb in our times now today. Researchers have found that turmeric has the ability to combat certain viruses because of the curcumin, which attacks extracellular viruses, viruses on the outside of the cell. Turmeric is also mildly astringent, so it binds. It has a little bit of a benefit in mucus control, but nothing spectacular. You really need to take massive doses if you want to do that. But what it is spectacular for is inflammation. So any disease that makes you experience inflammation, inflamed sinuses, sore lungs, even joint pain, once again, much more than you need to take much more than you think. So up to 4 tablespoons, I would say, a day. You can take it in divided doses. Add a pinch of black pepper and it will specifically go to the lungs and the sinuses. You can brew this into tea. You can take capsules. Capsules not going to be your best bet if you really want to treat something acutely, because you can imagine what 4 tablespoons of turmeric will look like in capsule form. You can actually find, I didn't put a picture on here, but you can find turmeric in a bottle labeled curcumin, which means that they've extracted specifically that active ingredient. I don't, but personally, like recommending things that have been extracted and processed, because there's up to 10,000 compounds in each of these herbs, and we just don't know what the other things do. So we want to get the whole thing into our bodies. These ones on the screen have been combined with garlic, makes it nice and strong. Vitamin D3 along with the omega oils. You can take about 1,000 micrograms of vitamin D3 per pound of body weight. So that's about 2,000 micrograms per kilogram of body weight if you have flu for the first 3 to 7 days of your symptoms. This is a massive dose. So vitamin D3 can poison you because it's fat soluble if you take these massive doses over a long period of time. Nothing wrong with really slamming that flu with a massive dose of 15,000 units per day. So that's 15 grams. You're going to need it for 1 or 2 days. It'll knock that flu right out. You can go to 3 days. You can go to 7 days perfectly safely. I have used doses like that for up to 14 days. my baby had jaundice, and I also had jaundice after giving birth. And the vitamin D3 binds to the dead red blood cells, which helps it get out of the system. But that's beyond the scope of this. We'll talk about that another time. So just to know, it's perfectly safe to take massive doses for 3 to 7 days. Just don't continue with that. My herbology teacher, you saw his yogi chai tea. This is his 4-step flu routine. Vitamin C at bowel tolerance, which means take up your dose until you feel you've got a little bit of a gurgly, loose tummy. Zinc lozenges, suck on it the whole day, 15, 20 lozenges. Suck one, when it's finished, you pop the next one into your mouth. Quinine sulfate, cinchona bark, we didn't really cover that, if you can find it here. And of course, add a herbal antiviral like your cuba berry, cayenne, rosehip, garlic, or something similar. I have my own little recipe because I can't always find the things that he recommends from North America. So my recommendation is vitamin C at bowel tolerance. If you combine it, if you take one that says buffered vitamin C, it doesn't upset your tummy so much. Zinc lozenges, very easy to find. You can either do that or massive doses, 15 grams a day, 15,000 microunits of vitamin D. Ginger, turmeric, and honey tea, and a herbal antiviral like echinacea, elderberry, golden seal, garlic. Once again, you don't have to do all of this. Pick 1 or 2, or do all of it, whatever floats your boat. So there's my little routine. I think you guys have a nice variety of culinary herbs as well as some herbal supplements that you can fiddle around and play with. But as you've come to realize by now, you need to take a lot of these things consistently to really have an effect on your immune system. In conclusion, I want to talk about the #1 enemy of our immunity. I mentioned it right at the beginning, our toxic buildup in the tissues, which in Ayurveda we refer to as ama. Ama, or the level of toxic buildup in your tissues, is intrinsically connected to your digestive ability. And your ability to digest the food and the toxins will play a direct role in your health and the robustness of your immune system. If there is ama or toxic buildup, your digestive fire, which we discussed earlier, is weakened and our immune system is compromised. So I'll talk more about this on social media due to the time we have today, but it's important that we briefly touch on the importance of healthy digestion and the causes of this toxic buildup. I'm in the process of creating a workshop on detoxing, so you're welcome to join that. I'll keep you posted in the newsletters. I want to know from you guys, why do you think toxic buildup is a threat to our immunity? Does anybody have any ideas? Why do you think being toxic negatively is a threat to you? Yes, I've got a note just saying to include quinoa and amaranth and hemp also in your diet. Yes, great dietary supplements, also very high in fiber. Quinoa is a perfect all 9 amino acid protein. So especially those who follow more a vegetarian, vegan diet, quinoa is a wonderful protein. Anybody have any idea why ama, toxic buildup, is such a... Okay, I'll help you out. Ama, in the simplest terms, is unwanted debris in the blood, in the cells, in the tissue, and of course in the digestive tract. Remember that earlier on we defined the immune system as a concept that distinguishes between what is me versus what is not me, and then the immune system attacks that which is not me. Just have a look here. It directs energy into the body. It can be used. Yes, you are on the right track. I understand what you're saying there. So when we have this ama in our body, the stuff that is not me, our immune system goes largely towards attacking and dealing with this stuff. And then there's less of the immune function left or available to deal with the stuff that we really wanted to deal with, which is the pathogens and the microbes. When the body is toxic, the body is under stress. Yes, the body has too much stress, exactly like I'm saying. All of the reserve goes to fighting off the toxic stuff, which is not me, instead of fighting off the pathogens and the flu bugs, which is what we really want to do. So in the event that we already have this toxic buildup in our systems, we want to get rid of it. We want to help the immune system. What causes this toxic buildup? We have our environmental toxins. We get it from the water, pesticides, GMOs, chemicals in food, poor diet, low in prana, processed canned junk foods, animal products to a very large extent due to the hormones and the antibiotics that these animals are very often fed, Shanila's saying there's no balance in the body and no balance in life, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual blockages occur. Correct. I don't know why you're here, Shanila, you're teaching me. Excellent answer, I really appreciate it. So also one that's not so much spoken about that causes this toxic buildup is poor food combinations. I think we all know quite a bit about all the ill effects of most of these, but the one thing that isn't often discussed is the food combining. So I want to get into that with the last little bit of time that we have left. I will send you in your email. I wanted to do it now, but we're running out of time. I will send in your email address. So please drop your email address in the chat comments, or if you're not subscribed to the website, ohmysoul.com, please go and just leave your details there so I can send you this. I want to send you a questionnaire called an ARMA report, which will measure the toxicity in your own body. So this is just for your own personal interest, to know, do I have toxic buildup? Do I need to address it? And then we can work from that. Okay, and then we can do a workshop on that ARMA for you in future on exactly how to get rid of that. I'm not going to do the worksheets. Let's get to those food combinations that cause the toxic buildup. We've mentioned the environment and the poor quality of food factors that contributes to an accumulation of ARMA, but a thing that's not well known to us is that even the healthy foods, when we eat it in the wrong combination, can cause ARMA buildup. So you might think that you're eating a healthy diet, yet your energy is low, you're slowly but surely gaining weight, and very often you're just not feeling quite healthy. The whole science between these food interactions is way beyond the scope of this course, so I'm not going to deal with it right now, but what I am going to briefly run through is a couple of examples so that you can see if you're making these mistakes, and if you're making them, you can stop making them or not start making them in the first place. For many, the concept of food combining, the idea that some foods digest well together while others do not, is entirely new and somewhat foreign. So I really want to encourage you to take it slowly and do it in your own time. And according to Ayurveda, it's an essential part of understanding how to eat properly to avoid making these mistakes. The key to success is to have a balanced approach to food combining. It's usually best to embrace the idea of food combining slowly and gently. So we allow ourselves plenty of time to make the necessary adaptations. Some of the recommended adjustments are relatively simple, and others can require a major recalibration in our habits or be met with some resistance within us in our minds. Often simply developing an awareness of improper food combinations that you eat somehow or somewhat regularly is a great place to start. So just start paying attention. Whenever you feel motivated, you can start thinking about these things. Combinations that we want to reduce and avoid, let me highlight a couple of them. Keep in mind that the list I'm going to show you is not an exhaustive list, but we'll take a look at just a few of the basic mistakes we very often make. On this list, you'll see when we are eating beans, foods that we do not want to combine it with: fruit, milk, cheese, yogurt, eggs, meat, and fish. If you want to, I can send you this list. I'm very happy to share it with you. Supportive combinations, things that you can very easily and without any ill effect combine with beans, grains, vegetables, other beans and nuts and seeds. Dairy will depend on the type of dairy. We get cheese, butter, ghee, all different forms of dairy, so just refer to this list. Butter and ghee, butter may not combine with other foods as universally as ghee, but butter combines very well with grains, vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds, and meats. And I'm going to repeat a couple of these, but it's just because it's really quite important. Cheese does not go with fruit, beans, eggs, milk, yogurt, or hot drinks. So if you like your toast with eggs and cheese, rather don't do it with the cheese. If you want to combine cheese with bread on its own, with grains, or have a roast vegetable dish with cheese on top, that's perfectly fine. That combines well again. Milk you do not want to combine with any other food, especially bananas, but specifically with fruit. Milk and fruit both have a sour effect in the body, so you're really making a very acidic bomb in your body by combining them. Milk is best enjoyed on its own. Exceptions are that you can have it with rice pudding, with oatmeal, dates, or almonds. But to keep it simple, rather just have milk on its own. Yogurt, you do not want to combine with fruit. Now, I think fruit yogurt, that's unfortunately a thing that's very hard for our bodies to digest. Don't want to combine yogurt with beans, especially not with milk. Don't want to combine it with cheese, eggs, meat, fish, nightshades like potatoes or onions or hot drinks. But you can combine it with vegetables and grains. I'm going to send you guys this list in your email, just for the sake of time. Let's not spend too much time on this. Most important, 8 glasses of water. Yes, fully agree with that. 8 to 12 glasses of water. Very good to hydrate, especially in your warmer seasons, and especially when it's windy. Just want to throw an eye on there. There we go. Fruit to be eaten before food. Correct. If you're going to eat fruit, always eat it on its own. Fruit digests very quickly. So if you eat it with your meal, that more complex meal takes longer to digest, and the fruit ends up mixing with it, and it stays in your system for much longer than it needs to, so it can ferment and cause gasiness and bloating. So have your fruit an hour before a meal or 2 hours after a meal. If you cook fruit, it changes it slightly, then you can combine it with something light like rice. Another list that I will send to you on email. And now my slideshow died again. Okay, well, let me just go through a couple of the combinations that we very often have. Bananas and milk, they're very commonly eaten together. But bananas and milk are challenging to digest together because their qualities are so different. Bananas are heating and milk is cooling, and that alone causes problems within our system. Bananas also become sour as they break down, so now our digestive system has to process a sour substance and milk at the same time. So you'll see that if you ever add a squeeze of lemon to milk, it curdles. That's what happens with fruit when you mix it with milk. Nightshades of cheese like potatoes, onions, garlic, we see that very often on pizza, unfortunately. So the combination is simply too taxing for our digestive system. Let's just stay on this side. My tick is over my shoulder here, helping out a little bit. Cayenne, paprika are both also nightshades. So if you're having a cheesy dish, rather steer clear of those spices. Nightshades can contain alkaloids. Those are the things that defend them against bugs. And those are very hard to digest for our bodies. And cheese on its own is also very hard to digest. So now you're having too hard to digest things. Beans and cheese are similar in that they both tend to be heavy and they're often difficult to digest. So in order to break down properly, they both require a good deal of digestive strength. But the similarity ends there. Beans tend to taste mostly astringent and sweet. So they can either be too heating or cooling, where cheese, on the other hand, tastes predominantly sour. So it's almost always heating and usually has a sour post-digestive effect. Fruits, eat them on their own, like we've said. And the main thing is really just ease into it. When you start anything new, take your time, discover what works for you, discover what you enjoy. The toxic buildup in our system is a result of environmental and dietary toxins. Yeah, I wanted to mention that I can do an easy detox plan for you guys. I've got your email addresses, so if that's something you're interested in, then we can talk some more about it in the future. Baby steps, do what works for you, embrace it one thing at a time. And Ayurveda is really so deep and so wide. Ayurveda also tends to get quite nitpicking on certain things which aren't really always as relevant. So if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, just decide to focus on one thing at a time. And that's it. We are done. Don't know why this video has so much sound, but I wanted to know, this is it. This is the end of the workshop. Does anybody have any questions that weren't covered? You can unmute yourselves and just speak up.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, can you hear me? Hi. Yes, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Elanie. A whole new perspective for me, very informational and interesting. And thanks to all of you guys. It was great to be in your company. Looking forward to the next.
Excellent. Thank you, Angie. I'm so glad that you were here, and I'm very glad if I was able to teach you something new.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Elanie. It was very interesting. And yes, I hope it will be another one on another subject next time on another
Absolutely.
specific elements.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anne-Sophie. I'm so glad that you guys were here. I'll drop the website quickly in the chat.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
you guys can let me upload also the worksheets for you. Is that button now? You see, when I'm hosting, the thing looks slightly different. Oh, there we go. There's 5.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
going to just quickly add the 2 worksheets for you. One is, it's on my desktop. So one is the workbook just for yourself. You can really, there's no test or anything. You can really just answer for yourself to see if you've learned anything. And then the AMA test is the important one. Download that AMA test. That's a toxicity test. And you can fill it out and send it back to me. Then I'll have a look at it for you, and it's not going to cost you any money or anything. But let's discuss it and let's get to the next step, which can help you get rid of that AMA.
Is that in your website, or did you download it now on the Zoom? I can't see anything.
I put it in the Zoom chat there. Can you see it? In the chat box. Oh, okay. There you guys are saying it's not there. All right. Okay. I've got your email addresses on the website. I will just email it to you. So then you can go and do that AMA test and let's see what your toxicity is. Jan?
Fantastic. Thank you and bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, you too. Vijay, did you have a question?
No, Elanie, thank you. That was very good. Thank you so much.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you for doing it. Very glad that you were all here. If something comes up for you afterwards, please feel free, drop me an email. I'm always happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Shanila. Thank you for your wonderful input. I really enjoyed having you here.
That was awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love and light always.
Love and light.